Biodiversity pushes medicinal and technological advances. The abundance of species on the planet is what's produced a lot of the treatments we use in medicine. It's estimated that about 70,000 different plants contribute to modern medicine. They provide antidepressants, they provide painkillers, they provide cures for cancer. And a report brought out in January 2008, published by Botanical Gardens Conservation International and commissioned by the World Health Organization, estimates that 15,000 of these species are under threat. This includes magnolias, which are currently under research as a cancer cure. They also provide hypertension medication, they provide dysentery medication. 80% of all our medicines are plant-based, and if we lose 15,000 species of plants, then humans are going to suffer as well as the plants. We're going to lose a huge untapped resource in all of the plants that we haven't been able to categorise yet, and all the ones which we haven't been able to investigate the uses of yet. And Dr. Gordon Cragg of the National Cancer Institute says that nature has produced wonderfully complex molecules that no synthetic chemist could ever dream of. Plants are improving our quality of life, they are helping us live longer, live more happily, live more comfortably, and they're doing it in a way that would be extremely difficult to do from scratch without them. If species were not preserved, we would lose a lot of this, so all species should be preserved. Technology is also driven by biodiversity. Recently they've developed boats based on the mechanisms penguins use to swim. They reckon they're about 20% more efficient than propeller technology. They're faster and they use less energy, so they're more ecologically friendly. And it's technologies like this which we wouldn't be able to build if we didn't have lots of species to base them on. Humans could lose out themselves just by not stopping this from happening, because we don't know now what we're going to want to research in 50 years' time. We don't know which plants might come up as being helpful, which animals might come up as a model to study for mechanics. So we should preserve all living species in the hope that we'll benefit from it as well as them.
Yeah, so Edward Wilson, winner of the TED Prize in 2007, said that now when you cut down a forest, particularly an ancient forest, you're not just removing a lot of the big trees and the fluttering birds and all that around in the canopy, you are drastically impaling a vast array of species within a few square miles of you. The number of these species may go to tens of thousands. Many of them are still unknown to science, and science has not yet discovered of the key role undoubtedly played in the maintenance of that ecosystem, as in the case of fungi, microorganisms and many of the insects. I've come up with two metaphors to explain sort of what it means by this. The first one is to do with like black holes and galaxies. If we accept that a galaxy is like an ecosystem relying on each planet within it, then if we remove one planet, or one planet sort of caves in itself, then it forms a black hole. Then before it gives a chance to any of the planets, the gravity fields to realign, it's then sucked into the black hole, and then as the black hole gains more and more planets, the black hole itself actually increases in size until life in that galaxy is no longer able to be sustained. The second one is more like a city. So as if you accept each building as an ecosystem, and then you accept the city itself as in the world that we live. As each building makes up the city, and the diversity in each architecture in each building is like a different form of ecosystem. So that if we lose different ecosystems, then the variety in this city isn't as pretty, and therefore it's not as well worth living. Now what happens is if you lose a certain part of each ecosystem, like for instance the start, that's like losing the basis of each building, so therefore each building is no longer built on a foundation. This means that certain ecosystems themselves or buildings will not be able to even stay upright, therefore they'll just disintegrate away. Others will decay, and therefore again the city itself won't be as beautiful a place to live in, and a lot of the majesty of the world that we actually live in will be lost. It's for these reasons that all life on Earth, and in all its varieties and forms, must be maintained.
So just as humans have the right to live an equal life and opportunities, like have equal opportunities and stuff, plants, animals and invertebrates do too. But because, although they have the right, unlike humans, where we can communicate with each other and say, I really don't like the fact that you're going to knock my house down or whatever, insects and vertebrates and animals can't say that, so it takes somebody like yourself or us to actually say, well, wait now, they have this right, and they need somebody to stand up for them and basically protect what they have, because like if they didn't have people who wanted to help them, they would have nothing. And estimates state that every hour one species becomes extinct in the world. And so that's more than 30 years ago. And then we've calculated, well, Hillary calculated, that in 60 years' time, that's over 500,000 species that will be extinct from what we have today. So in other words, that's a third of the insects and vertebrates, basically all species that is around today, that are going to be gone in 60 years' time. So your grandchildren or even kids or whatever, they're not going to be able to experience all these insects and vertebrates, mammals, everything that we can see just now and that we can get the joy of seeing. And so basically, well, in response to it, it takes, like I said at the beginning, it takes us to help them, and contributions from us, like whether it tried to be conserving habitats, even in your garden, if you're cutting down bits of trees, put them together and make, like, you know, just fire them on big piles, and then you can get like a little bit for beetles and stuff to go to, ants, it gives them a nice habitat. Although it might not look so nice in your garden, you can hide it behind some plants or a rockery or something like that, something that makes it nice to the eye, but you're not actually destroying everything that they have. Because you wouldn't like it, like I say, if somebody came up and knocked your own house down. So you have to remember that animal species cannot talk and interact with us, but they do have feelings too. And after all, we're only one species of an estimated 5 million, so why should we have the right to decide who dies and who lives, or what dies and what lives? So basically we think that everything should be preserved. Well, to the best that we can actually preserve them, because obviously natural courses take their place. But if we can try to prevent things that we are causing, such as global warming, then we could hopefully in time make things better.
That's us.
Yeah.